A very good evening and welcome to this edition of the Fourth Estate, this 12th day of February 2017. Charles Mwangushampag is my name. And tonight, delegates or job seekers? The contestation for the East African Legislative Assembly exposes the underbelly of our political parties, the crisis running within the political parties, especially the two leading parties, the National Resistance Movement and the Forum for Democratic Change. Of course, the other parties, the Uganda People's Congress and the Democratic Party, trying to fill only 9 slots. The country has nominated over 43 for those 9 slots, and that is a climb down from 107 initially. What does that say about our preparedness and what these people are supposed to be going to do at the East African Legislative Assembly? One of the major things that we need to look out for is a statement attributed to President Yoweri Museveni, or what President Museveni said in the chaos at, or after the chaos at State House, where the NRM selected its delegates, representatives who are going to be selected, elected from among by Parliament. He said, political representation should not be for job seekers. Can we evaluate that tonight? Let me introduce in studio tonight, Honor Peter Ekomoloit. He is Corporate Affairs Director at AB InBev, Nile Breweries.
Good evening. How are you, Charles?
Very nice to have you always, Honor.
I should have gone on the list.
Huh? I've been thinking people would have had some things to say about why they need to go to EALA. And I'm wondering whether we'll have that discussion when Parliament finally does its selection. We have the Honorable Nathan Nandala Mafabi. He's Secretary General of the Forum for Democratic Change and Member of Parliament for Budadiri West Constituency.
I'm the Chairman of Bugisu Cooperative Union.
You're still Chairman of Bugisu Cooperative Union? I thought you booted something back and the law has been changed on cooperatives, and
well, they're changing
saying
the
that
law.
Politicians shouldn't be.
They're making a law for me so that I'm not there. They're not making it for anybody. They're making it for me.
You're still making the money that you used to make as Bugisu Cooperative
It's only surviving union. Good evening, listeners.
Okay. And the man who just resurfaced recently, he'd been out of circulation for some time. Henry Banyanzachi is a former State Minister for Economic Monitoring and former Member of Parliament for Rwanda West?
Yes.
Yes, Rwanda West constituency. Very nice to have you.
For 15 years.
Good evening, viewers.
You are a Rwanda West MP for 15 years.
Yes.
And then you lost and you wanted to go to the East African Legislative Assembly.
Yes.
I don't know, were you rigged out? Did you lose? Did you lose interest? What happened?
I did not agree with the process, the electoral process that was going on there. And I therefore could not subject myself to that kind of processes. I didn't want to be part of that product.
So you pulled out of the process?
Yes.
Okay.
I wanted to be on record that I did not believe in what was going on. And many more others.
Okay. And Ivan Okoda. Ivan Okoda is a journalist with the Daily Monitor and a student at law school at Makerere University Law School. Ivan has written an interesting story for the East African newspaper, published in the East African newspaper for this week, about the case, that famous case by lawyer Fred Moema, and in search of the identity of that famous or infamous, depending on where you stand, famous or infamous Facebook critic, TVO, Tom Voltaire Okwalinga. That story is in the East African, and you can read it.
Thank you, Charles, and good evening to our viewers and listeners.
Let me start with the people who are in the thick of things, and that's the question. Starting with Henry Banyanzachi. You said you did not want to be part of that process, and therefore you decided to pull out.
Yeah.
One question for you, was that to save face? Was that to disagree with a process, and what exactly were you disagreeing with?
The rules of engagement were not clear, and the whole process was not clear and was marred by a lot of irregularities, and I did not want to be a product of an irregular an electoral process that was full of irregularities and was not clear. So I pulled out to be on record. Maybe I should say I sacrificed myself for the system. Let be a lesson to the system so that we clean our own processes. Because when you don't have an electoral process which is not clear, then you are bound to have uncertainties. Even those who come out will be questioned. You don't stand with your head high.
What would you say to people who would claim that you're just demonstrating a character of once bitten, twice shy, that you didn't want to continue with the process because you're already certain you had no chance?
I have very many high chances. Actually, I could have rated highest. I could have been, one could rate me high in that race. Because if you see those who passed through, Musamari, well, he has been in parliament for some time, and he was rubbing shoulders with members of parliament. But if you see, Mary Mugenyi was out of scene for some time. Loza Kor, then where is Kasamba? And you know,
Matthias Kasamba.
Yeah,
And
my credentials, Judge Ndong, for out of nowhere. So my credentials was very clear, and I had interacted with members of parliament. But you know me, I don't want to be part of, as the president said, that not job seekers. But I wanted really to represent my country at that highest level, so that the country benefits out of my expertise, from my experience of monitoring the economy, from my experience of interfacing with the private sector, the trade integration, financial integration, and remember, we're even going into a process of constitution making for political federation. I have that experience of registration. But when I weighed in all this, I think we need to do better as a country, and we need to do better as a party.
So what exactly, you said the process was rigged. What exactly is it? You say,
well,
what is it you didn't want to be part of?
Well, you see, the rules of engagement were not clear, and they kept on changing them from time in, time out, from the beginning, from the day of registration, from the day of nomination, on the day prior to the voting, after voting, chaos in State House. The next day one was not clear. So I had to make a statement.
Or you had to save face?
No. If it was about saving a face, you wouldn't even be calling me here. You have called me here because you have seen value in me.
Okay. Let me turn to the FDC. FDC, you had initially 9 candidates. Everybody thought, one, you would send a candidate. You sent 2. The talk we have had over the years, I wanted to put on the record that is it because you couldn't afford as a party to deal with the 2 front runners in Ibi Florence Ekwao and Ingrid Turenawe that you just decided go and battle it out in Parliament on your own? Or was it strategy?
Thank you very much. To begin with, there were no rules. The Speaker was supposed to send out guidelines about how the process is supposed to be handled. What we have is a program. And the program spells us this day will be nomination, this day will be election. That's basically what it is. Now, when there are no rules, as Henry has said, you have a problem. But we, as FDC, and our judgment, as official opposition in Parliament, there are 2 sides. There's ruling party and opposition, which is led the other side by lead of government business, and this side led by lead of the opposition. This is also in the rules of procedure. This is also in the Parliamentary Administration of Parliament Act, even the Constitution. Now, when we did it, because of East Africa, we said, what's best? I want to give it from the top. Burundi has about 500,000. Rwanda has about 8 million, 7 to 8. Tanzania has 46 million. Kenya has 38. Uganda has 35. But each of them takes 9 members. If you are going by might, just listen to me.
Hold a moment. 500,000 what?
People.
Million. Yes.
500,000.
Yes. The population. If you are going by population, what I'm trying to say, well, even if it's small, but what we are saying is that the population of Burundi is small, of Rwanda is small, compared to Tanzania, compared to Kenya and whatever. And because of that, they have never come up and said that because of the population, you take the number according to the population. They say you should take 9 what? Members of West Africa. if you are taking 9 members of East Africa, if currently we have 4 parties in parliament, if they are all real parties, what would be that you get 9 divided by 4, you get 2 point something. So under normal circumstances, each party should take 2 people. So I don't know how others decide to take 1, others decide to take 6, because there are no guidelines which say you bring 6, you bring 1. For us, we did our mathematics and discovered that if really fairness, you are aware we're in IPOD. IPOD is Inter-Party Organization Dialogue, where every party there is equal. And if we're really trying to promote democracy, that's what we felt. And that's how we pushed it that way. But listen to me. The reason why we said the 2, I've told you. There was no way we're saying that we had set our guidance, we're clear. If you are saying Ingrid was the last, then you would say we're trying to do that. But we said this is the first, this is the second. And the cutoff point was that. We had said...
At what stage did you make that decision as a party?
No, we need it because the working committee...
At what stage did you make that decision as a party?
Decision 22 people?
Yes.
No, the decision we made as a working committee, and we sent the 2, because in the meeting of working committee, it was agreed we should send it what? 2 candidates. And I, as Secretary General, sent the 2. And we brought both of them to be nominated. And we're going ahead to really campaign for them, and really also ask whoever needs to be asked. Because I can tell you we're engaging the Secretary Generals of the ruling party, Honorable Lumumba. We're trying to tell them that they should recognize what we call multi-party. And what they should recognize is there's official opposition party in parliament which has the lead of what? Of business, or lead of government, or lead of opposition. Now, we never took anybody. For us in FDC, if you are failed, you are failed. We never fear. We never fear. And because we don't fear, we have done the right thing. And what we're saying in the whole world is that for fairness, FDC, which is the leader of the opposition, should be given the 2. And NRM, if it is fair, should cede some posts to DP or UPC if it was. Because, as we speak...
let me put these 2 questions before I bring in my colleagues to ask their questions. Number 1, what do you say to people who say that actually what happened in the FDC is that you are internally fractured, and the candidate who emerged winner belongs to one faction of the party, but the candidate you sent as the second candidate belonged to another faction which couldn't stand, losing out the contestation?
You see, let me tell you, you're just exaggerating things. As a party, we're one. That is your thinking. We're one. And if there's, for us as we know as FDC, we're one. But as you're sitting together, you can step on one another's feet. But we're not saying that we're fractured.
So the stepping on someone's feet has been going on for quite so long, and it's coming out in this EALA.
I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah, because you can see when Peter wants to step on me, he's trying to avoid, but the minute he knocks me, I can't get angry. I will say, well, you're my brother. So let me tell you, what we're trying to do, we're not fractured party. We're one party. And if you're seeing us, we're moving as a group.
How come that this talk of a divided party comes from within? It comes from within your own political party.
You see, let me tell you, talk from within. Who are talking? I am the Secretary General.
Yes.
The accounting officer. The one in charge. Well, I'm telling you the right story.
Secretary General, you don't necessarily agree with your party president.
What else do you want?
You don't necessarily agree with your party president.
How? On which principle? On what
you contested against one another, and you have been running almost 5.
That was finished. And I'm the Secretary General. I'm the one who writes minutes. So, he's the one who chairs. So what are you saying we're not agreeing?
Where's the problem?
Where's the problem? Those are your imaginations when you sit here on TVs and radios and in the public. But we are one.
You're one.
Of course, Charles, you don't expect the Honorable Mafagi to consider on national TV that the party is fractured. But, but of course, he's a lawyer and he knows the principle of res ipsa loquitur, that the facts speak for themselves.
But you're pushing him too far.
Charles is speaking.
Internal debates doesn't mean that
exactly. When you disagree internally, and you come out and say, okay, we have disagreed, but what you have put up is what we shall go with. We all take that as a position. What's the problem?
Okay, let Ivan complete your thought. You were saying something.
No, I was just telling you, warning you not to maybe keep pushing the line of the divisions in FDC.
The
Because
division in FDC.
no politician will agree to those divisions, because the Honorable Banjazachi here may remember sometime last year in the lead up to the presidential election, what happened in the NRM is actually what happened this week. When John Patrick Amama Mbabazi opted to stand against the president, there was every last-minute move made by the NRM, one, to amend their own constitution, to amend their own electoral rules. So, Honorable Banjazachi is basically speaking what is business as usual for the NRM. And really nothing surprising if you look at how they conduct their primaries. In 2011, 2010, the last primaries were bloody. So it's basically business as usual. And I think on that point, I wish to congratulate the FDC for attempting to paint the picture of the possibility of losing an election, but also conducting an election that is close to free and fair, to the extent that
very free and fair.
to the extent that it's credible enough for people to concede they've lost.
Yes.
I think it's a culture that this country should be able to nurture, and I think FDC deserves credit. If you look at the election of their party president, Mugisha Muntu will concede defeat if Dr. Kiza Besigye beats him, even for flag bearer of the party in the presidential polls. That, of course, is not true with the DP. Every election there at the top leaves that party fractured. UPC right now is in shambles because precisely of the question of elections. The same is true with NRM. So I think the FDC, without reference to my own disagreements with them, I think they deserve a pat on the back.
You forgot that he lost an election and conceded.
Yes,
there were disagreements.
Yes.
They were able to come up and ask Council Ledestos Okafuzi to see how those disagreements could be harmonized, and I think that is a different way to
but let me tell you, when I lost election, you see, when you lose an election, you cannot go and jump on the street and say you are up or whatever. What you do is say, why did I lose? You sit back, reflect, and move on. You know, as a ship, if a ship has missed a target, it goes back and aims next better. So I have to reflect. So for you to assume that, where did I go? Did I leave the party? I am here. And I can tell you, I am the secretary. I'm working. And I can tell you, we're working in this power.
You're saying something very interesting. You have refused to go back and reflect on why you lost the 2016 election, general election.
Which one?
The presidential election.
No, we won. That one we won. You know it.
So that one you've insisted you won.
That's why we have insisted that we need an independent audit.
Andrew Mwenda has been attacking you on Facebook.
No, Andrew Mwenda is looking for bread.
That you cannot claim to have won a woman and she's not in your house, so you've not even gone to wed.
Yeah, but you see,
and then you claim to be the bona fide love of the person. So you can't win an election and not be in State House. So people who win elections go to State House.
No, for me, I'm happy with Andrew Mwenda attacking Dr. Kiza Besigye, because that you cannot pull something which is on the ground. You pull which is what? High. So what he's trying to pull, is high. So when you see him talking about Dr. Kiza, so that he earns his bread, he's pulling something up. If Dr. Kiza was on the ground, he could not pull him.
He would be lifting up.
He should be lifting up. That's why so he lifts that which is on the ground. So in that one,
interesting. Just one more question before. Ona, you wanted to put in something. I
thought we are losing the EALA discussion.
We're coming back to the EALA discussion.
We are going to FDC, Andrew Mwenda, so the viewers can get confused. What are we discussing?
Just one last question before Ona comes in. You're saying you expected NRM to be magnanimous? You have 36 members of parliament. NRM has over 300 in that parliament. So where, as FDC, did you imagine that NRM would simply be magnanimous to put you on a table and discuss and say equitable sharing, because there are 9 slots, divide 9 by 4 of the political parties that are represented? And secondly, how did you forget so quickly that you have ended 5 years as FDC without representation in EALA simply because you boycotted the last election 5 years ago?
No, I think you made a mistake. The last election, I'm sure Henry will be here. I was the leader of the opposition in parliament. Our party sat down and said every party in parliament should be represented. And there was even a memorandum of understanding signed. You remember that? So while for me I was going with these people to negotiate, when Mama Mbaba was the Right Honorable Mama Mbaba was Prime Minister. Miss Honorable Bart David was a government
Chief Whip.
I think.
No, he was the
but he was also in the demonstration. I would take all the parties to the negotiating tables, and we are going further. I will tell you this: even Honorable Mama Mbaba, if they're listening to me, and Honorable, they told me, "Why are you bothering? We want to agree. You have your 2 slots, and we move on." I said, "No, we must agree that each party represented in Parliament gets a slot." Unfortunately, we never knew that DP and the UPC were negotiating under the table. So while for us we're still negotiating, for them they were going ahead even to nominate. That's why you saw us, we were left out. Now, we have learned our lesson.
Yes.
In this current time, if we go by iPod, we would have shared like that. But as official opposition, we have to negotiate.
So you learned your lesson and you think you will win the 2 positions?
Listen now, come. Official, because if you, unless the multi-party politics are talking just on lips, just what you call it, on just nothing.
Lip service.
Lip service. But if multi-party has to be practiced, then it must be practiced now.
Okay.
Now, how should it be practiced? The parties in Parliament were led by the opposition, the opposition and the ruling party. And opposition this side is FDC. And you can see for us, if you look at the Parliament now, UPC already has crossed. You know, Beta Monge, Akena is the other side. We don't know what UPC side is belonging. DP, you can see even the chairman of DP recently did what? He went. So we don't know. But for us as FDC,
they have a minister of state for youth.
They have the minister for state for youth. You can see. So that's why we're saying now, if you people want us to practice my party, if we want to appoint shadow cabinet, the leader of opposition appoints may consult the parties in opposition. Likewise, if they want EALA to be real, okay, let the opposition also decide the 2 which they want to take, if that's what they want.
Okay.
But now, why should the DP and the UPC decide to go there? And now also to add on that, why should NRM, which was fighting, you can imagine fighting in State House.
We'll come to that. We'll come to
that. I want to make a decision for the opposition. The opposition should make a decision for its what?
Which opposition is the question we need to ask, because you have just dismissed the other 2 parties, saying you don't know where they belong.
No.
But Honor, let's Honor have his take first before we take a quick break.
What do you want me to say now? You know, I've been almost quiet because Okuda knows in terms of the word EALA can actually be pronounced EALA, which means joking, you know. And this is what this whole thing is a joke. I mean, the whole thing is a joke. And I think
got to them, they were talking about it.
I'm happy that this election, I hope, will bring to the fore, to the country, the relevance of the East African community, because this body has basically been one of those clubs of the elite, but it's good now that it has become a big national debate. Maybe eventually it will percolate to Arusha and people actually debate what is the relevance of this legislative assembly, if we are spending money to sustain it, what are the returns, because there's a lot of hype that people want to go to Arusha to create a true federation, integration, but for all the time the parliament has existed, what are the results towards that direction? It almost answers what President Museveni said, it shouldn't be about jobs. Of course he knows that it's about jobs. I don't think anyone really believes that it's anything beyond that. That's why you can see all the political parties are sort of breaking their own rules. The opposition indirectly is fighting itself, because technically the FDC is trying to say they are superior to DP and UPC. So
no, official opposition.
Yeah, I mean, so you're almost saying the 2 slots for opposition, which are unofficial in your view, should at least go to FDC.
Okay.
And you're actually playing into the hands of the NRM, in my view, because it means now DP and UPC are going to dig in, and they might have to ally with the majority to knock you out.
Okay.
Actually, that's what will happen.
Can we, I'm afraid, gentlemen, can we take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be asking the question, is FDC ready to sit out another 5 years, going by the experience 5 years ago? Welcome back to this edition of the Fourth Estate. A quick question from one of our viewers. Julius is watching us, and he has a question for Henry Banyanzachi. He says, what was Henry Banyanzachi doing in NRM processes? Didn't he quit the party when he decided to contest as an independent in 2016? Maybe we should start by answering that.
I can even quit today and get in tomorrow.
Mm.
You get?
So
I
you-
can decide to quit the party today and tomorrow I get it. So what is his problem?
Mm. Okay. I hope that answers it. Julius, you have your answer there. And a question for Nandala. What if there were more than 9 parties represented in Parliament? Wouldn't there be validity to discuss numbers?
Yeah, what was I saying? First of all, I want to apologize on the Burundi number. Somebody has sent me on my mail that the population of Burundi is 11 million.
I was surprised you said 500,000.
I think I was mistaken on something which maybe civil servants. Yeah,
Maybe
but
MPs of Parliament.
yeah, but also 11 million compared with 35 million here, compared with 46, it does not even validate my argument of them sending 9 people. So it does not go by population. It goes by country, and that's what I was saying about parties. Now, if there were 9, it is they say as far as feasible. What it means is, if there are less than 9, it is feasible. If there are more than 9, it becomes unfeasible. So you have to try to see how you manage that interest. Now, even if like now in this current state of ours, what would have happened that you must take care of the interests of the women, the youth, the PWs, the disabled. If you decide to sit down and say each party takes this, you can say for you this party you bring the youth, this party you bring the disabled, this party bring the women, and it works out. But unfortunately, there is no system of sitting because we've been in iPod. By the way, I'm now the chairman of the council, or the chairman of the council of iPod. One of the things we're talking about is that if iPod, which is the inter-party organized dialogue, is represented by everybody who comes, you don't come with mitre there. Each of you will have equal numbers and everything, and negotiate equally. Why does it come? Let's just give me. Why does it come to these positions that NRM wants to become superior?
But Charles, just allow me to challenge.
Sure.
You have been emphasizing your status as the official opposition, and you believe you should be respected for that. By the same token, NRM will say it is the absolute majority. By the same token, it will have majority in everything.
That's why I'm coming. So if we go by that, there are two ways. There are two scenarios. If you go from iPod, the policy, it goes equality. If you go back to Parliament and say who are the majority and who are the second, again, proportionality, FDC qualifies. That's what I'm trying to say. In either direction you go, FDC qualifies. So you cannot say that you can speak and leave FDC out.
But
no.
you have a history.
So are we now saying, realistically, would you say FDC should take 2 slots to Arusha?
Either way.
Well, either way. 2 slots, and NRM, if it wants to take the 6,
of course it will take the 6.
That's what we're saying. Now, if they are going to take the 6, because now they're using numbers, we can also say, let us use our numbers. What is the proportion?
Charles, if you may, let me just come in at that point.
Between BP and UPC, we should lose out.
If you have to, you really, listening to the Honorable Nandaland and the discussions on, from the NRM side, you really have to sympathize for a country called Uganda because at the end of the day, you do not get the feeling, at least as an outsider, outsider in the sense that we're not involved in the political processes as actively as them, you don't get the feeling that there is a deliberate attempt, whether by the opposition or the ruling party, to put political party interests aside and say, we have an obligation to send 9 representatives of the country to the East African Legislative Assembly, which is an important organ of the community. Can we be able to agree on bare minimums? And this is the point the Honorable Abdul Katuntu was making on Capital Gang on Saturday, that we need to be able to agree as a country to say blue, yellow, red, green. Can we agree on even just quality? Can we agree on the caliber of people we want to go and protect, but also defend Uganda's interests in Arusha? We don't get that conversation is not happening. What is happening is actually evidence that we still have to struggle with consensus building, because when the Honorable Nandala speaks, he's speaking about we can also push our way. That conversation does not capture, for example, sitting with the UPC, sitting with the DP to say, can we as opposition and even independents, because they're actually the second biggest lot in that parliament, Never mind, most of them are NRM leaning.
But
Agree on basics.
Ivan, just interject you. You assume that EALA is neutral in the internal politics of individual East African partner states. It's not. The kind of noises that have been coming out of EALA, like when the situation in Burundi was really at its height, there were some voices critical. So NRM is just being smart enough not to send people to Arusha just to represent Uganda. They must also be able to speak for it. And
that's what I'm saying. You have to sympathize with the country.
But just this one.
The leadership crisis.
But you see what you are saying, you are brave. What we are trying to do, you are assuming we are not engaging. We as FDC, me as Secretary General, I have told you, I am engaging the Secretary General of the NRM. And of course, we are also engaging the Secretary General of DP and Secretary General of...
But you've just dismissed them.
No,
I thought you won. Why are you engaging people who lost?
Oh, no. There's a problem in this country. And where the problem in this country, where I see this country, where we are going, we are taking the wrong direction. First of all, when you look at what is we are talking about economic integration now. This economic integration, we politicians, we are taking the people of Uganda for granted. This political integration is to boost the economy, to ease trade, and eventually political integration at the end of the day. And at the end of course, it has the Pan-African bigger picture. So we are not casting the bigger picture that we should be achieving now. And one would even say, no wonder our economy is not doing now well. Because when you look at this economic integration, where we are now, we should be promoting the interest of boosting our economy, not the interest for the politicians sharing positions. So we are not looking at the bigger picture. We are just being myopic and looking at the positions, you know, and the members we are sending there are not going to represent the views of their political parties. It is the economic integration.
But I asked the question earlier.
So now, when
EALA has existed, what has it done to realistically show that it's boosting the economy?
Those achievements are there.
Look, for me,
you can
it's
see
nice
now
to document things, but people must
your
be able to
company
see them.
But your part, why haven't you documented?
You are
Part of what?
You belong to East African breweries. Yes,
That's belongs to African brewery. That was in State House. What I don't want people like Banyazaki to bring here is this notion that there is a lofty ideal for people going to EALA. It's not.
Just wait a minute. Let me put some achievements that have been, for example, in trade.
Just a moment. I hear that. Where is that discussion of exactly what you're talking about in your own political party, the National Resistance Movement? How seriously, when you served as minister, as member of parliament, did you place that discussion? The same question to Nandala Mafari.
Let me answer
as
you.
member of parliament, as a leader in the major opposition party, where is that discussion within your political party?
Answer you.
You're the political actors.
This discussion, myself personally, I can say, I pressed the discussion in cabinet. And in the last days of my cabinet, that discussion was very live and kicking. But of course, as I've said before, whatever I discuss in cabinet is a collective responsibility. There are secrets of cabinet. They don't come out. But for us as
so were you dropped from cabinet partly because you raised some of those questions that no one wanted to discuss?
No, the appointing authority can answer that, not me. He has reasons why he dropped me. I don't know why he dropped me.
You lost an election. When you lose an election,
that doesn't matter. We have so many ex-officials there. Yes,
she's one of the few exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, you could. Also, the appointing authority has the answer. So, but now we are talking about this economy now.
So, is that a discussion you've had within the NRM as a party? You might have had it in cabinet because you have there is a slot for an East African member of, a member of cabinet who answers to the docket of the East African community. Is that discussion alive within?
That is what I'm telling you, brother. That politicians are taking the public for granted now. Instead of widening the discussion about making the economy strong, the whole discussion now, for example, is about their political centered interests. Instead of, like, for example, now, if we are going to Arusha for the economic integration to boost the monetary policy which we are talking about, we would be talking about now, how does Uganda gain out of this? How do we gain out of these processes? how do we make Uganda strong economically? But instead, as we are fighting, we are weakening ourselves. Our economy is not doing well. Actually, our economy is doing poor. And we, the discussion
does that
now
have to do with the EALA? I don't
Yes,
believe. First of all, look,
yes.
the whole integration agenda is executive driven. It's not driven by EALA.
And
You
that
know
is,
that?
but
So it doesn't matter who is in EALA.
these-
It matters who is in power in the individual.
these are the
perspective.
pillars. There is the summit,
Yes.
there is that legislative assembly, there is
On
the
paper.
there is the secretariat,
Henry will
and
indulge
should
in-
not remain on paper. That's what we are
Just a
talking
minute.
about.
Let's put the same question to Nandala. Where is the discussion about the place and role of the East African community, the Secretariat and the EALA in the FDC?
We have it, and for us, we have it even in our party platform now, the Leap Forward. We have it, and we talk about East African integration. You know, the East African integration, what it means, first to begin is a market. If you integrate, you work together, you first create your own market, the economics grows, as he is talking about. So we as FDC, we have it in our platform. Even in our manifesto, which we used in the last election, go and read about East African integration.
I mean,
That's
right
So
right.
now, listen, now, where do you want us to push? We have pushed it, we have talked about it in Parliament, and even when if we're in the EALA, we shall talk about it.
let me
Just-
ask, you
just
spent
before
5
you ask-
years out of EALA. 5 years out of EALA. Are you ready to spend another 5 years out, or do you have some magic through which you're going to end up back in Arusha?
I think if democracy has to apply, I think we have to be in Arusha. Unless there's no democracy.
There'll be an election in Parliament.
Of course, but if
Yes.
it must be on democratic principles, why did we bring multi-party? If we brought multi-party to work, we must show it working.
Yes,
And
and numbers.
One of the pillars of the integration
No,
is
with
democratic
democracy.
governance.
That's what democratic governance. And you cannot come and say you are going to lock out FDC, an official party, and they say you have done a
So
good thing.
beyond you appealing to the magnanimity of the National Resistance Movement and its majority members in Parliament, what is your path
No,
to sending your 2 delegates to?
the party is there. Parliament will be the one to send them.
Yes,
You brought the
and
candidate.
Parliament is majority NRM.
Yes, but they will
NRM has 6
understand.
candidates. You said they foxed you with when they negotiated with DP and UPC to send representatives 5 years ago. They seem to be in agreement today. If you listened, I was watching the Electoral Commission chairperson of the NRM Tango Doi on Charles Dongtho's show the other day, or even on Kamara's show here. The talk is NRM, UPC, DP seem to be somehow found a way to work together and they're isolating FDC. So what is your path?
And that's where the problem is.
That's where the problem is.
So if this has isolated them.
You,
So maybe for us, we haven't isolated.
you have isolated yourselves.
How? And that's why we're telling them what they are doing is wrong. If that's what they want to do, that's wrong.
And
This
the
matters in
Charles,
politics.
It
It's the nature of
matters.
politics.
It
Look,
matters.
for me,
You see, when
yeah.
I look at it, let me
The
tell you
point I wanted to make
You see
about
the public
EALA,
knows.
Charles, just hold on.
Yes,
I
Honor.
think to discuss EALA is to discuss the strength of the national legislatures. Because the same relevance of parliament in country is the same relevance of EALA in the East African community. And the weakness of parliament in country, the weakness of the quality of delegates to the national parliament is what is reflected in the Arusha debate. And even the disputes as to whether opposition can unite to have a collective voice to go to Arusha is the same debate they have been having in terms of can you unite to defeat the NRM, and the debate has always been you can't.
but my brother, if we cannot be united as one country, how shall we be united as East African
My
people?
problem, Charles,
And
in response to Henry, is the selectiveness and the convenience with which we identify these issues. Because what the Honorable Banzachi is passionately speaking about here is precisely the cry that those that have different views on how this country is run have been raising. And to the extent that Amama Mbabazi was treated the way he was treated, to the extent that a constitution of a political party can be amended to suit the interests of kicking out an individual. And the Henrys were the ones cheering. I was at Chadon, plot 10. You know,
Those
I
were
mean,
internal.
the whole thing was a mess. Now you expect fairness, you expect sanity when you are in the position where you expect those things. But I mean, if you're looking at national interests first, what is the record of your party? When Ambassador Olaro Otuno sought the position of Secretary General of the UN, Uganda's interests were never put first. It was Mr. Museveni's disagreements with Olaro Otuno that were put first. And so many other able Ugandans who have offered themselves for international jobs, including Professor Kanyehamba with African Court on Human and People's Rights with the International Criminal Court. And Uganda's interests were never put first. It was the interests of the president and the political party. So this precisely is how your party, the party that you subscribe to, has been running this country. In total contradiction with what Dr. Apple Newton Obote in 1962 at the independence speech said, that we need to build a country united to be able to rise above the pettiness of political party tribal lines. And that conversation is very important for you to have in the NRM. You do not have it to the extent that you feel you've been unfairly treated.
And some of us, that's why some of us are saying no. We must have this kind of discussion on the table.
But you only say that when you have been a victim. That's the problem.
But in terms of the chaos in the NRM at State House, one could actually argue that it shows that maybe what you call democracy is there in the NRM. Because one would expect in a real dictatorial political party that there would have been an official line, but you could see that people were really pushing their points, and at the end of the day you had a secret ballot. So I don't see how you can really say that chaos per se is necessarily lack of democracy. Maybe it's the epitome of almost moving to too much democracy, verging on anarchy, which can also be counterproductive.
But what you're raising, you see, why should the chaos be there if the system is clear?
Well, I think we are now moving to what you call the iron fist.
The system
to having multiple voices.
The moment the system is clear, it's clear.
Fighting is not there.
Something is not there. But of course,
that's the electoral violence.
But what I want to tell you that, let me also tell you this. When we came in 2001, we were in one-party system in Parliament. In 2006, when the multi-party came on, I can tell you in 2006, if you got an NRM, or trying to shake his hand, he would want to run away. Are you getting the reason? He doesn't want to be seen by the NRM. They will say, oh, he was talking to opposition. There was that, can I say, bad blood. But things have gone on and moving on. And we can now come to I can say now confidently that people can get NRM sitting, eating food with the opposition.
We are maturing.
They're maturing, which is also good. Otherwise, the other time
they have enough food to
no. I'm bringing
Honorable Mafavi, some of your members who are going to State House should stop wearing gomezes.
No, that was another story. You see, the problem with State House going there at night or wearing councils or gomezes is bad, because State House is supposed to be a house of dignity. You see, like White House in America, everybody is free to go there. But here to go there, you fear, because everybody, you may even have gone for the right thing, but somebody may think you have gone for bread. But that's okay. That's okay.
I was actually surprised, because the air of suspicion that hangs around some members of the FDC and the alleged dealings or behind the scenes dealings with the NRM is so toxic.
No, but we have not got evidence. And when we get evidence, we shall deal with it. For now, it may be that's a hearsay. I could say that.
Yes, but
because we are asking those who are getting those people in the gomezes and the councils, can't you give us
men or women?
Men or women, and give us a copy. They have not given us. So that's what, when people want to divide, let me tell you something. You will say, oh, you are here. The other one, like now, for us in opposition, if NRM gets one of you, say, you will tell you are here. Now that is eating is doing okay. You are just suffering. Why don't you? Because they want to make you get angry with another, so that you go there when it's not true.
This is another State House should be for all.
State House should be for all.
Let's go back to the discussion.
So, but now I'm coming to you. Let me just make a small case on the Yana. One, if we are going by the numbers, like let's say the last election, NRM got 5.2 million votes. Are we together? FDC got 3.5 million votes. You are aware of that. If we go by that, because the people you are going to vote are not coming from Parliament, they are coming from the population. You could use the number of the votes which are there.
Honorable Ndala, you are a politician.
Let me make a case first. Let me make a case. You're asking me.
Yes.
Then you come to the independence. Of course, the independence are both NRM and both can be FDC. There could be a system because of internal problems. that brought independence. But what is independent? If there are 54 independent or 60 independents in parliament, those are 60 parties. Because independent is independent of what? Of each other.
Of an affiliation.
Yeah. And at the moment you're independent, like me, independent, you're independent or independent of each other. So the moment we try to really make independent be independent, then we're trying to kill multi-party. And that's why I'm remembering.
There are 33 independent candidates running for...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That I remember Mama, when he was trying to say, no, we need to...
In the next parliament, there will be the majority.
There will be the majority. If we want to remove this thing of independence, people were looking at him as bad. But I am now remembering, I'm seeing many things which he said were right. Two, even if for you might be in NRM think that you are the best today. Tomorrow you're in problems. And that's why you can see even right Honorable Mama Mbabazi, he decided, hey, when I was inside, I was not seeing these things. Now he's outside, is what?
He's seeing them. I'm afraid that we need to take another break. But Waf is watching us, and he says FDC will not jump in bed with NRM in order to go to EALA. Let the other parties continue doing so. Exactly. They are already infected and diseased. Why should NRM choose for us but deny us to choose for them? That's Waf is watching us. And Jose Nwamine in Kabula Liantonda, I believe,
have understood,
says the way I see FDC is that they are trying to be smart by increasing their chances of having a representative. They know that representing one candidate is risky, and so they are just trying to increase their bargaining power. But they risk ending up with no FDC member in EALA because of their arrogance. I hope you respond to him. And James is watching us, says the reasons why Banyanzachi lost in Kabale are the same reasons why he lost in the EALA vote. I hope you also respond.
Who is that?
James.
Which James?
He's called James. He's given me one name. It's called James. Let's take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be wrapping this up. And primarily looking at the chaos within the political parties and what this means. No, after short commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back this last segment. We're putting the phone line on the screen, so you can call us and share with us your views and opinions. Gentlemen, just before we bring this show, this is the last segment. Let me start with you, Ona. Do you realistically, how do you see this playing out, realistically? There are 33 independents, 6 for NRM, 2 for FDC, 1 for DP, 1 for UPC, for 9 slots.
Of course, the 6 slots for NRM are sorted out. I don't think anything is going to change. The other 3 will again depend heavily on how the NRM views the individuals who are trying to get in. There is, for example, a theory that maybe one of the FDC candidates will be helped to get out of the city streets from demonstrating and go and spend time in Arusha. I mean, those are just conspiracy theories. But I think the FDC definitely has to be careful that if they paint the UPC and the DP into a corner, they will run into the arms of the NRM and isolate them. And again, if it's a vote, you can cry, but it's a vote.
Ivan, how do you see this playing out?
I think they should be able to have those gaps filled in respect to getting the 9 people. This country has had more intricate situations to deal with, so this is just one of those. And the disagreements will certainly always be there. People are bound to disagree, especially when the stakes are high. My only problem as a citizen is, from where I sit, looking at all these things happening, you don't get the sense that somebody, especially in the ruling party, the chairman of the party of the NRM and the president of this country, but also the people in opposition, at any one point can be able to put their political party differences aside and say, can Uganda's interests take precedence? That, for me, I think is a very painful thing for this country. Consensus building remains extremely difficult, and it just shows you how much more there is to work. The contradictions remain. The president said, EALA should not be a place for job seekers, but that precisely, like Ona said, is what it is, and he condemned bribery, but of course he is the chief briber. If you read the presidential election petitions 2001 and 2006, the president gets his victory after a lot of bribery.
Though none of it has been traced to him personally.
Yes, but he's a beneficiary of
yes, none of the rulings has
of massive bribery, including you know.
My friend is giving
But
my
also
president
remember,
another
it's a
title.
fountain.
So
It's
it
a
just shows
fountain.
you
Ivan,
Uganda is the
Ivan,
political house.
Remember, it's
still under
also a
lot of
fountain,
construction.
and water comes out of a fountain.
So that's the point on the water.
Let's answer this gentleman.
Answer James, who said the reasons you lost in Kabale are the same reasons you lost in EALA.
Yeah, he's very right. I lost in Kabale because I lost primaries because of mismanagement of primaries in Kabale of NRM. And again, I pulled out because of mismanagement of Kabale. I think he's very right. He agrees with me, and I'm very glad that he has agreed with me.
So how do you see this playing out? You've been in Parliament, and you've been at the center of these things. You've been a victim. I don't know if you've been a beneficiary at some stages, but you've been a victim of this mismanagement. Given where we are with the EALA elections, how do you see this playing out towards through the election process? And secondly, what does this say about the politics, especially of the ruling party?
You see, the politics of the, as I said before, this kind of politicking within the EALA and within this body politic, in this bigger picture of East African integration, both economically and leading to political integration, is very unfortunate within our country, Uganda, because we are not looking at the bigger picture. We are being taken by these positions, and then the position has cast the benefits and the gains that we should be talking about. Instead of promoting the interest of Uganda as a nation, working towards a healthy economy, working towards the greater market, working towards a strong private sector, because this integration is driven more or less to benefit the private sector. And then we are not talking about all these things. All we are talking about is fighting for these positions, and then forgetting what
so
about
we from the private sector should have one slot.
Oh, yeah. Actually, if at all, I wish this whole process was being driven by the private sector. Because what are we talking about? We are talking about the market. The markets are not for the private sector. We are talking about.
They are not for the politicians.
They are not for the politicians. We are talking about a strong economy. It's not for politicians. It's for politicians for purposes of drawing salaries and sustaining the expenditure. We are talking about economic, about monetary, about strong currency. Not for the politicians.
The politicians you're talking about the same politicians you until recently belonged to?
You know, I've always been an advocate of a strong private sector. I have always been.
Okay.
Because of the private sector.
And I still do. It's good. Nandara Mafali
I support you.
is supporting me. And actually, we have been together. For example, when you don't think that he's fighting for this cooperative union, it's accidental. It's because he knows to be strong as a nation, you have to have a strong economy.
Okay.
The Ugandans should know, when you have a weak economy, your state will be weak. You will have a weak state.
Well, the viewers would have difficulty reconciling the politician Banyanzachi who's speaking now, because of the situation you find yourself in, and the statesman.
In fact, I was going to say, going back to the original Banyanzachi.
Yes,
Before he
people
was
have talked
appointed
about an
minister.
original Banyanzachi and the new one.
The Banyanzachi, the population could not trace very well with the Banyanzachi cabinet minister.
Yes. What happened to that Banyanzachi?
Because that Banyanzachi was in cabinet. My views were in cabinet. They were not outside. But those also who were following me very closely, my statements were the Banyanzachi they knew.
No, there are those who also can't trace the Banyanzachi who accepted the cabinet appointment, given the Banyanzachi.
After being labeled a rebel.
This is a struggle.
Yes.
Okay? This is a struggle. By going in cabinet, I can tell you there are some things I influenced and changed that I could not change. For example, if I was in 5 years. Okay?
This is the Banyanzachi who's rediscovering the old Banyanzachi.
I am still the same Banyanzachi.
Okay.
And if you can, don't think that in cabinet there it is a part of tea and the samosas and what. There is a struggle there. And I represented, I was on the side of reason and logic. And if you can ask, you have friends who are cabinet
we have a lot of callers online. I need to speak some of our. But someone, I think you have issues with this gentleman called James. He's come back and says, Honorable Banyanzachi kidnapped the LC5 chairman for 5 hours. It took an intervention of security to have him rescued because he was a supporter of his opponent. The case is still at police in Kabale. I don't know what this gentleman seems to
You
know
can
quite
see
well.
it's full of malice and sabotage.
James, you have it. And another listener here says, FDC needs to sit down with fellow opposition parties and agree on how to share their seats, other than dismissing them. Because the way I am seeing, Honorable Mbide has already taken one opposition seat. Only one is available to fight for now. What do you say to this gentleman?
No, I think that's what opposition wants. If we are really opposition, we must sit and talk as opposition. But if you get the opposition parties, the other side, they are not opposition. You see, they have used it as a platform to come to parliament, but by basically NRM. I think that gentleman is right. That's why we saw the president said, Mbide is a good DP. Kwezar is a good DP. You have seen it happened.
Mbide is the vice president.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid. Let's take some callers. Can I come back? I'll give you time, Honorable Nandala. But let's pick some callers. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Your name and where you're calling from? Keep your question or comment brief.
Yeah, my name is Patrick and I'm calling from Namasuba.
Yes, Patrick.
I want to make a comment about Mr. Banyenzati. You know, Ugandans, we are guys who are forgetting so easily. There is a time when Banyenzati was talking for the common man. That was the time before he became a cabinet minister. I was an avid supporter of his. By the moment he lost his common sense and really stopped talking for the common man, the time when he joined the cabinet. Right now that he's a victim, he is crying foul. Ugandans, I think we are forgetting easily. These are the people we should leave body.
Okay. Honorable Nyanzachi will respond to you, but kindly when you call, don't attack personalities, attack the issues that we're discussing. Hello?
He didn't attack me.
He hasn't attacked you. Yes.
That's good.
Thank you. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you. Your name and where you're calling from?
This is Bentamron from calling from Tinda.
Yes, please go ahead.
I have a question from Mr. Nana Mafavi.
Go ahead.
Mr. Nana Mafavi, you subject yourself to an election where you don't believe in the legitimate government which is in place. How can you tell me that you never accepted that this government was duly elected by people, and you stood calling for an international audit, an independent audit, that to come and go in and confirm that this government is duly elected? Why don't you just say that the defiance campaign has failed and you move on?
Okay. Thank you. We have another caller. Hello? Hello?
Hello, how are you?
Yes, please. Your name and where you're calling from? Keep it brief.
I'm George from Kampala.
Yes, George. Go ahead.
Just something about East African community. I think it's more of an elitist approach by the leaders. Reasons for which it collapsed years back. Some reasons for which it will never be formed again. I just believe that the communities, yes, we are brothers as we are in East Africa. We should just have free cooperations, immigration and so on. But we should maintain our sovereign as a country. Just like Norway works with the EU and the trade. And they have corporations in various aspects, but they're not members of the EU, because when you have a big organization like East African Community, South Sudan gets a problem, all of you get a problem. If one country manages politics, refugees are all of you. If they mismanage economy, all the other countries have to deal with the economic issues of the other countries. However, we can agree on levels on which we can cooperate and exist as a brotherhood, other than ceding so many of our sovereign issues to a bigger community. And believe you me, the trend is on now. These big blocks, the thinking of having big blocks is not going to work anymore.
Okay.
And
thank you very much, George. I think we picked your issue there, but we lost the last bits of your contribution. If you can please try and call back so that you can complete your thought. Hello? 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 We have a caller on, but we can't hear you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, this is Fiona from Tinda.
Yes, Fiona, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would like to pose a question to FDC. FDC seems not to respect EALA very much, even considering the kind of risk that was that it's a distraction from important issues. Then they tend to sit back, and at the end of the day, they come as a distraction to Parliament. I would want to be convinced that really FDC itself understands the significance of Uganda in the EALA.
Fiona, I'm not sure. Did you get the Fiona's question, Nandala?
I think it's saying significance.
Yes, significance of FDC in EALA.
Yeah.
Fiona, we missed a bit of Uganda in EALA. Thank you very much for your comment, for your question. I think Nandala will answer you. Hello? We have another caller?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yeah, my name is Kasasa, calling from Entebbe.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just wondering if you're true to yourselves, especially us as Ugandans. I've never found it in me that Uganda as a country is ready for EALA. I don't know what EALA you're talking. I don't know what integration you're talking about. When at home here we are not even integrated. This is a divided country. To be sincere to ourselves, we need to first organize our home before we get into EALA. We are lying to ourselves. We are doing things we know. Intellectuals keep on lying to the country about what integration are you talking about? You go to Kenya, they treat you differently. You go to Tanzania, they are not into even recognizing Ugandans as people integrated in East African community. The way they treat us wherever we go, apart from the corporate CEOs who travel to those countries and are identified, but the layman is not identified anywhere in those countries, treated like as if you're a foreigner. The way we treat people from which country, we are so good and we never treat anyone bad. Because people have come here, bought our land, done everything that they can do here, but when we go to their countries, they treat us differently. We need to clean up our house, build patriotism, and then we know what we're going in. But this thing you're discussing, EALA thing, you are lying. You're just going there and do whatever you want to do. It is not going to work. It is not in our minds. We don't believe in it. I'm talking as a layman. That is it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you make a fundamental point there. We'll have you'll have a response from the panel here. Do we have another caller? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Kampala. My name is Paul.
Yes, Paul, go right ahead.
I would like to agree with the previous caller.
Yes.
I don't think the East African integration will happen. The economic differences between, say, Kenya and Uganda are so big. Political philosophies are so different. On that note, I just think that it will never happen. I think as they say, this is a game of the executive, and that we should take it that way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. Paul, you'll be our last caller because we need to bring the discussion back into studio. And yes, we have just a few minutes to get out of here. Ndala, most of the questions are coming to you. Let me also take this from Isimbwa David, who says, so those in the collective responsibility bracket, things get messed up while watching, then change faces. I think this is trying to send it to Banyanzachi.
My face has not changed.
Let me see who this one is. Nwamine got back and says, Charles, by calling FDC arrogant, I meant that it takes itself as the only opposition party. I saw Mafabi telling Akena that why should UPC bring a candidate for EALA when NRM already has 6 in? Yet UPC and NRM, yes, are you suggesting that UPC and NRM are one? Imagine that arrogance. James James says, it's only Kajingo who stood to her word. The future of East Africa lies in products, value addition, markets, and balance of trade. Thumbs up, Sarah. Truthfully, she was the best candidate for EALA. Sarah Kajingo was a candidate, but I think did she lose or she pulled out?
She lost.
She lost. Okay. Gentlemen, there you have it. A lot of questions coming to Nandala. Nandala, let me go back to the question I put to you as you answer some of these questions. Are you ready to sit out another 5 years? And number two, what appears to be the general question coming from a lot of our viewers is, where is that discussion on the relevance of EALA in all this political, what does that Nigerian politician, political higihaga that we're going through, if we borrow the words of that Nigerian politician?
I think to begin with, well, I want to thank the callers. If this is not arrogant, the problem we have is that when somebody tells you what is right, what is true, you say it's arrogant. For example, under normal laws, the moment you cross a floor from this side to this way, you're supposed to lose your seat. I don't know anyone knows about that.
That's true.
If UPC was sitting this side and it crossed this side, that member would have lost a seat. Or disciplinary action would have been taken by the party on that member.
No, it loses a seat.
But it loses a seat. We are telling you, those who have not understood UPC, Honorable Betty Amon Akena, she's the Minister of Lands. She's a UPC. She crossed from this side, she sits from the other side. And it's a clear indicator, if roads were operating well,
why don't you go to court?
Well, that one we shall do that. But it looks there's a memorandum of understanding, of alliance, which is taking place. And the moment there's a memorandum of alliance, understanding of doing things together, then when it comes to allocation, like in the posts in EALA, they should be the same. Like coming to cabinet jobs, they'll be the same.
So you're
so like in
that
Parliament,
the UPC candidate for EALA should take one of the slots of the NRM.
That's what I'm coming to see. If by their rules, let me add it on another case. Our rule of procedure says the opposition, the leading opposition, will have the chair and the vice to 4 committees. That's public accounts, COSASE, local government accounts, and the government assurance. The remaining will be appointed. The leadership will come from by the party in power. Maxwell Akora, a UPC, is the vice chair of a committee which is ruled by what? NRM. That means the official, the ruling party has agreed to appoint him. I hope you are getting it. So if it was opposition, because we had raised it, they said no, but that's not opposition, it's ours. So even our rules of procedure, that's what I'm trying to raise up here. 2, so whoever is saying that is NRM and UPC in bed, yes, it's a clear indicator that what I'm putting up is very clear. Why would a president get up and say Mbid is a good DP? They are working together.
Or maybe he actually knows that Mbid is a good DP.
You see,
maybe Nandala is a good DP.
Exactly, good DP.
It's also good to remind Honorable Nandala that Ravamira Ruranga, shortly after that heated campaign between you and Mugisha Muntu, eventually.
Those are members. He's a member.
But a very senior member.
No, but actually in NRM we know you as a good FDC.
Now what I'm coming there, no, it doesn't make me a bad man, but I'm coming, Henry. Yes, being a good FDC, yes, you're right. Good FDC on my act.
No, you're a nationalist.
You're a nationalist. Exactly. You have seen them, that's why you're saying a good FDC, a good Ugandan. But now you have raised, where is the EALA? He's complaining he's not seeing the dividends. Has he brought a report that he said he brought a good report?
Yes, but the callers have been telling you they don't see the relevance of this EALA and saying...
That's what you're saying. That's why I'm coming now. If there's integration. And that's why I also want to agree with Sarah. The truth is that East African integration is basically for markets. And the moment you have market, you produce your products and sell them. That means money remains in. You remember the 10-point program of the NRM that we're going to build Uganda a self-sustained, integrated economy. We have failed even today. Self-sustained economy. We have failed. And if we go and audit the 10-point program of the NRM, you will discover that
which is export-oriented.
We can say corruption.
No. Before we get lost in that.
Okay, but let me come back.
What you say by FDC's conduct, you're demonstrating that you know the place of, particularly around these elections, that you're demonstrating that you know and have the best interests of the country in
we have the best interest.
Body.
We have the best interest.
In a regional
and
body.
We have said, if nobody has ever said our manifesto as far as this African integration is bad, has never even criticized our platform on East African integration. They all agree with it. And that's what we're promoting. And you see, when you go here, you're representing Uganda. That's true, where that's number one. Uganda first.
Not
But
the
what
party.
Not the party. But what we're trying to say is that maybe some people will have argued that they were going for jobs and whatever. That's another story. I'm not urging because I'm not one of those going to EALA. But I'm urging for FDC that as FDC, we believe that we have the best manifesto for EALA. The integration we're talking about.
But you see, are you ready to sit out 5 years? Another 5 years?
No.
You start out 5 years. Are you ready to sit out another 5 years?
Well, sitting out 5 years will be again
a struggle.
When the struggle.
Yes.
That's a struggle. But that would be okay if that's what the NRM was. That would be normal.
They will start out of set out for 15 years.
It would have been out of set house, would have been even recent in set house. But we're here, the world doesn't end, the struggle continues. It is up to the NRM to demonstrate that we're in multi-party.
So you're looking for NRM magnanimity?
No. But if they are thinking, then why did they bring... my question I'll put to President Museveni. Why did he bring multi-party? Why? Did he bring it just for lip services? Or
no, he brought multi-party so that you could compete.
And we're competing.
If you can't defeat
yes, but now we'll build a nation. Here in East Africa, is it for competition on...
It's not about competition,
it's
about building the nation.
In fact, here, where you would have shown you that, here multi-party, this is your side, this is our side. And I can tell you what I'm saying is that EALA would be the best for the best. And FDC has sent the best candidates for EALA. Now, the other point which was raised that why are we subjecting ourselves to an illegal election? It's not an illegal election. First of all, it's not to begin, Chugundu is not the one conducting it. It is an election which is being conducted in Parliament.
Very legitimate.
Very legitimate. So there's a problem when you don't follow things.
Very legitimate,
but the process had only been floated. Why? The Speaker of Parliament has also not given guidelines. The question I'll ask you, why did the ADP bring 1? Why did the NRM bring 6? Why did the FDC bring 2? No guidelines.
No, NRM believes it has majority and can push through its candidates, and it's bullying you with its numbers. DP is trying to secure the most...
It's even being generous by giving them...
but if it is the numbers, they will win.
DP is calculating and saying, if we send more than 1, we'll have no chance, and they're negotiating with... maybe they're negotiating with the NRM and having their candidate go through, the same as UPC. The only party that doesn't seem to have a strategy to get back into EALA seems to be FDC.
No, we have a strategy.
What's your strategy?
And our strategy was saying as opposition, official opposition, these are our candidates.
They will talk to the people.
And we shall talk to the people. And what we're saying, we should follow the rules as they are down. And by the opposition should be the ones to choose their own. Not Senator.
You sit in that parliament. The rest of us don't. Banyazachi was sitting in that parliament. Do you really think that you can go on the campaign platform with your 2 candidates, Ibi Florence Ekwao and Ingrid Turinawe, and convince that parliament to vote for them? And at the end of the day, it's going to be decided by a vote, not a negotiation in a boardroom.
And of course,
do you have a realistic chance?
You see, to begin with, what's the vote? In the parliament, voting is twice, more than once. 1, I, 9. That's a vote. Are you aware? If we agreed and say, NRM, the ruling party, bring this, the opposition bring this, those people are the ones, when we go there, we can say aye or no. So that's what we're saying. If NRM is not, you're talking about being kind, they should follow multi-party.
Yes. You're talking in terms of if. I don't know if politics is done in if terms.
It is. It is. And you see, that's why we're saying where are the rules of the game. It is. Okay. And that's why we're explaining to you it is possible and it will be possible. Unless people want to be unfair as they want.
So you expect them to have been unfair on the general election, but be fair on EALA representation?
Whatever we're saying, it must be fair. And we want to call on this is the Speaker of Parliament should come up with clear guidelines on this.
But you see, these are some contradictions.
So now the other one...
For FDC, just hold on, that was seen before the general elections. When you say the system is unfair, and you know, you believe it's unfair, then you go in, you lose, and then you almost contradict yourself. Because this all, in fact, the way you set up your agenda, the parliament and all the other organs of the current government are illegitimate. Because the election that should have,
you can't say
just on the election that should have helped to put these organs together, according to you, was not fair.
You are right. When you go to a football match and you know the referee is biased, you must make sure you score a goal and cut the net so that even a person who is blind says that you have scored. And that's what we are saying. If you are talking that we are multi-party, what are the rules? Are you going to play outside the rules of the game?
I think,
and that's what we're trying to say, sir. That's the issue. And that's in the struggle. We shall not give up, by the way. You go in the struggle knowing, and you must fight on until freedom is never free. And you must fight until you get what? The freedom.
Okay.
And that one you can say good luck. It will take
what was the other question of the other guy?
So I don't know what the other.
Just finish.
The other one which says about economic integration. No, there was another one from. What's the difference of Uganda and EALA? Yeah, Uganda should be negotiating for ourselves. One, like for example, maybe if I can borrow from European Union, when they were trying to merge, one of their negotiation which I had said, the disadvantaged countries which are going to lose in this integration will be compensated, and indeed they were compensated. I think there were those small countries, if I can't remember them, who were paid, compensated as a result of the integration. In this market we're integrating, somebody has talked about Kenya. In true, Kenya, as we speak now, the economy of Kenya is the big one. If we open down...
Because they are strategic.
They are strategic.
Fight for the interest.
Fight for the interest. What we would be fighting would have fought also, as we're opening up this, what is our advantage? Right now, for us we have allowed Kenya and Tanzania to own land here. But you cannot go to Kenya and Tanzania not on land. What is our plan as far as such issues like land are concerned? Products. Kenya has more factories than us. But we also have an advantage. I think we produce good food. Maize goes to Kenya, but maize goes under the border without our knowledge, without government knowing. We produce the best coffee. If you are not aware, we produce the best tea.
But our tea, which we produce, it is auctioned on
at the Mombasa auction.
Mombasa auction.
Yeah, but
it's not our tea. It goes to the market as Mombasa.
As Mombasa tea, you are aware.
And we lose.
And we lose that, and now they are marketing the other name. Even some of our coffee goes to Kenya and is marketed as Mombasa, Kenya.
Yes.
As Kenya coffee.
So
right now, some of it going. Yeah, poor negotiator. But there's some of what
the point we are making.
Starbucks takes Rwanda coffee. They call it Rwanda coffee, but that Starbucks, much of the coffee is ours. Because it doesn't have capacity. So
I am surprised that I have two long-standing members of parliament and that debate and the former minister and that debate, as passionate as you're presenting it here, I haven't seen it on the floor of the Ugandan parliament.
No, we have done, and that's what we're saying. For example, what our argument?
Seen it here. It is rare here.
And it's rare, and you're going to get more because what we're saying.
Promote such a
if I ask if you read our integration, say promote a product.
Okay.
Empower people. And when you power, yes, we'll talk about cooperatives and whatever. So what we're raising here is a very fundamental.
So I asked the question.
I'm afraid I've asked the
question. You have had Ugandans in EALA. Have they raised this question?
So now that's a question.
Have they raised this question?
So now the question
so you are going to have another EALA. Will they raise this question?
So that's why we need to change the structure. Maybe when we change the structure, this will raise the question.
Yes.
Okay. And maybe those ones. You see the problem with now. I don't know. Maybe like what I was saying, FDC were talking about. They will raise the question according to our manifesto.
You see, we must sympathize with the viewers who might have sounded cynical towards East African integration. The point is, this a noble objective.
Oh, there was a very question.
But there have been realities.
Yes.
That when I was in the cabinet, I was not speaking for
the
common
people. From David Isimba.
When I was in the cabinet, I fought for the common people. I fought the corruption, and that's why even in this last regime, last term, you would see that those corruption there was cases like, for example, the pension scam. There are so many cases which the Prime Minister's office.
You want to claim credit for that?
I can claim 100% on this pension scam. I am the one. I even almost fought in cabinet when they were not.
But Charles, I know the minister barging on.
So I did. I fought for the people. I fight for the people.
This skepticism about the East African community. I think one of the things the people who are going to EALA should raise during the debate is we need to expedite a referendum involving the people on the
Absolutely.
issue of integration.
No, that was
because
done.
so long as it
That was
remains-
done.
No, there was no referendum.
There was no referendum.
Yes,
I'm
but
saying it
the
should be
study was done.
expedited.
A study was done led by
Because so long as
Nakamuzi,
you are
among
having
other people.
you are having EALA parliaments in and out, you have presidents in and
Just
out,
fighting for position.
debating amongst themselves. The ordinary people are cynical. And
But
rightly so.
the views on the integration process have already been gathered, and there's a whole comprehensive report.
Those are views.
Presented to all-
Those are the views of consultants.
No.
I think the idea of a referendum is apt. Is something that should be considered. But yes, there are reports that have
Otherwise,
been done.
we have a Brexit version by some countries.
No. It may have to take place because what they are raising, you see, when the losers are there, that's why one time there was the East Africa and the winning.
Coalition of
The
the
winning. You saw it other day. They said, no, yes, it will happen. But
The
it may
coalition
come
of the
because
winning.
what's happening is that if you don't have good negotiating capacities, if maybe you don't have the knowledge, you have a big problem.
Okay.
And that's why I was saying that each of us, as you are saying,
So,
Gentlemen, I'm afraid our time is up. We need to get out of here.
Uganda
miss me a lot.
course,
Call me
that-
open.
you call them-
People miss me a lot. You did call me very
I
open.
don't know which Banyanzache they are missing, or whether we'll be able to find.
This
there's
Banyanzache.
there's an original one, and
This one is that today.
And you can be sure once he's appointed ambassador or something, the language will change.
But the roles are different. You have different instructions there.
let me have Ivan your last word on this.
EALA ambassador.
Where we started from, the crisis in the political parties, how this exposes the crisis in the political parties.
I think sadly there is more evidence to anybody who had doubts that we are still afflicted with a lot of immaturity. The opposition parties cannot agree on basics. The ruling party cannot agree on basics, and still wants to project its bullying power, its ability to bulldoze and use what the Baganda call maniga chifuba, and that's certainly very sad. We need to have a country where we can afford to agree on consensus and build consensus on basics.
Henry, your last word.
Oh, my last word is that I take the advantage of that one, my leg is in private sector and another one in this political class. The political class is taking advantage of the people and is actually not promoting the interest of the private sector and the people of Uganda, and they are fighting among themselves for these positions instead of promoting the common good, the national interests, which will promote the economy, which will make the economy strong, but they are into haggling and bargaining for positions instead of haggling and bargaining on how to make Uganda great through building a strong economy.
You're also talking about making Uganda great again.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Nandala, your last word on this.
Yeah, to begin with, if you go on this process by taking that we take the majority, of course NRM has the big number. Anything they want, if they want to use numbers, they will do it. But if they want a country to move as they want it to move as a united body, they must be ready to give it what due process is, what to give in, what belongs, what is in the law. And that's what we're saying. Don't use your numbers to suppress others. It's not right. Because the Uganda belongs to all of us, and to the country to be united, you must show that what you have put in law applies. And that's why one of the things we're saying, on this year elections, let us not use numbers. Let us use the logic. Let us send people according to what the law should have been applied. And that's why we as FDC, we believe the 2 candidates of ours should be sent to EALA. That's number 1. Number 2, as a country, of course, when you send some representatives, they are supposed to negotiate for the country. Personally, I go to World Bank. And when I go to World Bank, I discuss for Uganda. Even if there are bad things you may have known, you keep down and say, no. For the purpose of our country, we need this to move our country forward. Likewise, those who will go, you should not look at them. We have already made the choices, but whether if we had sat down, would have said, who type of caliber of person should we send to East Africa? We need an economist, we need a trade union, private sector, we need a farmer, we need what, would have sat down. But everybody now would say, I'm all around. Next time, we believe we should sit down. Finally, we believe that together we can move the country. And the party is not, if you're in opposition, you are not an enemy. You are just having a divergent views.
Okay.
Charles, for me it's simple. I think we shouldn't blame the political parties or even the actors. I think most people are victims of a situation. These elections to EALA have demonstrated the level of desperation, genuine desperation among political actors for a good job, for an income. And I think the political parties need to take it as a challenge to invest in developing financial capacity of their members and of their leaders. Because I don't like this idea of seeing former ministers and what struggling to get positions. It also means those who are in government should create proper pension schemes and develop saving schemes. I know many people do not actually want this job. They want to take a rest. But then they can't rest when they are financially
distressed.
Thank you. Our time is out. We need to get out of here. Our time is out. We need to get out of here. You're speaking like when recently when big people were being sent into Luzera, into prison, people were realizing, hey, we needed to improve these prisons because you don't need to send somebody to do a paint job in the room that is going to house you as yourself just before you arrive there. And people were sending actually toilet seats to be able to fix the system before they get it. So preparing for that bad day. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for making time for the show. We'll keep watching. The independents, I'm told they are also in different groups. They have been trying to work out a kind of independence coalition, possibly with the hope that they can agree on a single candidate for the independents out of the 33, but not all of them are running are agreeing.
They are going to conduct in the primaries.
Let
them conduct primaries. That's what they should do. That
they're talking about doing primaries. But you said if there are 33 independents, that means there are 33 different political opinions and parties that are presented. I was having a chat with my friend Lauben, who is a candidate, and they were saying they might work out something and agree on.
And that's why we said that also opposition should sit down and choose.
If you're not accepted, I don't know if you're talking together actually as opposition parties. But our time is up. Thank you very much, viewers, for joining us tonight and always. From me, thank you very much to our production team that stays up late to bring the show to you. And of course, all of you who stay up late to watch the show. From me, it's a good night.